Welcome to Jimbo's Garage.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to the shop. Today's project, I need to build 4 planter boxes for the top of some booth seating in a restaurant. What we've got is some booths that are back to back to back, and they want to put these planter boxes on top of those booths to separate them, give them a little bit of privacy. I want to talk about the material we're using. We're using some 1/8" plate here, and I've got a drawing with some pretty specific specifications and tolerances, and I want to go over that with you as well. So let me show you that. Let's get started. Today's video is sponsored by King Metals. They've got all your fabrication needs in one location. From hinges to hardware, balusters to metal decor, brass to aluminum, and a whole lot more. You name it, they've got it. Check them out today at kingmetals.com. Now let's get back to today's video. Okay, so here's the drawing that they gave me, and it's obviously a rough drawing, but basically what we have here is the box itself needs to be 61 7/8 inches long. It needs to be 8 inches tall and 6 1/8 wide. They told me that these dimensions are really hard, and the tolerance is 1/8 of an inch or less. So we need to be within that. Apparently this box fits right into a pocket, and I have to be right on dimension in order for this to work. So a couple of things. I had my metal supply store shear all the parts that I need and all the pieces I need for this, and I want to talk about that. You know, I've learned the hard way and just went with dimensions like this, and by the time you're done, it never hits because you didn't take into consideration some of the things you need to consider, like the width of this and the height of this, and so on and so forth, in order to make these dimensions. So what I have here, in order to get 61 7/8, the way I'm going to build this is I'm going to start with the base alone. And that base, because these side walls on either side are full dimension, 8 inches tall, I need to be able to cut the base in here 5 7/8 by 61 5/8. And that's my starting point, because I'm going to be adding 1/8 to either end for the side, and I'm going to be adding 1/8 to both sides here for the walls. So I need 4 pieces at 5/8 by 61 5/8. That'll be the bottom. For the sides, I'm going to go full dimension, 8 inches tall by 61 7/8 long, and then I'll need 8 of those. And then for the sides here, we're going to go 5 7/8 by 8 tall, and by the time this all gets put together and gets tacked in place, we should be on our dimension here. Now, one thing I want you to note is they don't want any seams. They want this to be seamless. So the only seam we're really going to see is this outside corner on both sides. And we're going to go ahead and weld that all the way, ground it nice, round it and smooth. And after it's powder coated, it'll give you the illusion that it is a box with no seams. Now, in terms of the bottom, I'm going to tack weld in several locations on the bottom, on the inside of on the inside of the whole box. Now, it was my understanding that this boxes are going to take bark with artificial plants or artificial flowers. There's not going to be any water in here. However, the contractor told me that once these boxes are built and after powder coat, they're going to seal the bottom with like some Flex Seal or something like that, just to seal it off, and that was their plan. All right, with that said, let's get started on this box. All right, so like I mentioned, we're using some 1/8" hot rolled steel plate here, and my metal supply store, like I said, sheared everything to dimension. Now I gotta give them credit, because I double checked all this, and everything is exactly on dimension like I told them, so that's going to be very helpful. All right, so the first thing I'm doing right here is setting the bottom up with the sides. I'm using the mag square. I'm double checking it with my square. Everything is nice and plumb, and then I'm going to put a tack on either side and one in the middle, and I'll do that on both sides. Pretty simple build here. It's pretty quick. Then the sides go in, and I'm using the mag squares right there to hold everything nice and plumb, and I'm sure that the base is flat to the bottom, and everything lines up nicely here. And then when that happens, I'm just going to go ahead and get the tacks in about every 8 or 10 inches apart here, about an inch long. This is the first box I made, so I'm kind of learning as I go, although it's not much to it. I had these little corner clamps right here that I thought would work, and then there was too much pressure trying to bend things in, so they didn't work quite as well, so I just took the clamps off and just pushed everything together with my hand and got everything where it needs to be. And then a few tacks on that on the side as well. All right, with the one side in and the two sides on, we'll flip it around, and that's kind of what that looks like right there. And then this is the final side right here. Again, the same process, mag squares to hold it flush to the bottom and then flush to the sides as well. And when I'm putting this in, you can see I'm pushing everything nice and tight. You know, one thing about these, these panels, when they're during the shearing process, they were a little warped. And so that's why you see me pushing everything in. And you don't see me right there, but I put a couple of table dogs on my side over there to push it against the, push the box against the table dog so I can apply pressure to the back side to be sure everything stays nice and tight. All right, then hit the tops, hit the bottoms. And then that takes care of that. And now it's for the sides right here. And this is where we're going to be grinding this down and making it a nice, nice solid look box. No seams to it. We're going to round the edges and smooth it all off. And then after powder coating, it'll look like it's just a solid box. We did the same thing here on the other side as well. And I'm starting to stop it a couple times. You know, I probably could have turned the amperage down on the machine and made a single pass all the way down. I'm running a little hot right here, so that's why you see me starting to stop, and I just didn't want to burn through. All right, they're all welded up, and now I've just got a fixture clamp right here and hold things in place, and a brand new Mercer ceramic flap disc, 60 grit. And then I'm just going to go ahead and grind everything nice and clean. There's nothing like a fresh flap disc, I'm telling you. They remove a lot of metal really quick. And just like that, that's the look I'm looking for right there. I'll repeat the same process here on the other side. Yeah, this weld was a little bit thicker than the last one. I didn't want to, it took me a little bit longer. I didn't want to go through, so I just took my time. That's the beauty about powder coating, you know. I mean, it's thick. They do a primer, they do a powder coat. It's super thick. So if you got any kind of blemishes or flaws, that powder coat generally covers that up. All right, with that fixture clamp on there, one thing I want to point out is if you look where that fixture clamp is, it looks like it's bowed in the planter box, and that's because it is. You know, when I applied pressure to that clamp on the top, it kind of drew it in on both sides right there. But as soon as that clamp comes off, that straightens right out. So I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of comments in the comment section about how crooked it is, but that's the reason why it's like that. All right, so just finishing this up right here. And like I said, this is going to be the look they're looking for exactly. Nice and smooth on the edges. All right, so there's one thing here. I tried to get you on camera and show you the dimension. Now, we hit our dimensions exactly. That was 6 1/8 wide, 8 inches tall, and 61 7/8 long, right on the money. So I was pretty pleased about the way that turned out. And so this is the remaining 3 right here. So while I speed through this, it's pretty much the same process with the rest of these right here. I want to talk about a couple of things. One of them is, you know, I feel very fortunate to be able to have a welding table to do projects like this. I can't tell you how much easier, efficient, and faster it is having a level welding table, a fixture table, something that you can put mag squares down or fixture clamps, bolt things to the table. It keeps everything nice and flat and makes for a really good job. You know, not having this, I probably would not be able to get the job as accurate as I could. It's really helpful. And it sure is a time saver to have a nice welding table. So if you're a fabricator and you're looking for something like this, I'd recommend a good welding table. It would definitely help your job. Also, too, I'll talk about the machine I'm using. This is a HTP ProPulse 220 MTS multi-purpose machine. It's my go-to machine. I have several HTP machines, all for different things. You can see them on the rack behind me there. But this is the one I use mostly for everything I do. The wire is 35 thousandths. I've got a machine with a 23 thousandths and 30 thousandths and 45 thousandths as well. But for the general purpose stuff that I do, it's 35 thousandths. And the gas I'm using is 90% argon, 10% CO2. 75-25 is the most popular, or probably the most common anyway. I like the 90-10. The 90-10 just seems to have, it burns a little bit cleaner. It has a little bit less spatter. And I don't know, I've been using it for years and I just like it. And my CFH is right about 20-25. All right, so these fixture clamps too, you can see those mag squares. I got those on Amazon. You know, they're pretty inexpensive. I want to say maybe $10 or $12 a piece or something like that. And I've got several of them. You can see how handy they are, especially for a job like this right here. You know, everything, you know, if you got the right tools for the right job, it makes life a lot easier, and it makes for a better project, for sure. So again, pretty inexpensive. You know, I think I may have those in my Amazon store listed in there. But anyways, Amazon is where I got them. You might check that out. All right, you can also see my angle grinder holder and my MIG gun holder right there. Those I sell on my website. I've got TIG as well. And I've got plasma cutting, torch leads. That works well if you've got a table like this. You can see, you can see I got my MIG on the one side, I got the angle grinder on that side right there. Keep everything nice and organized and right at your reach. Pretty comfortable. All right, with 3 boxes down, this is the last one, and it's just pretty much the same process, you know, putting everything together. What have I learned by the time I get to the 4th box versus the 1st box? Well, I can tell you this. I built it a lot faster. You know, the more you have and the more things you do that are the same, you know, you get better at it as, you know, the more you do. So here I am on the 4th box, and I'm telling you, it probably took me 5 minutes to put this box together versus the 1st box probably took me an hour, because I wanted to be sure that whatever I was doing it right and double checking everything. And there were a couple mistakes along the way. I don't know if you may or may not saw it. I had the cutoff wheel in there. I had to cut a couple welds off. I got off a little bit, but I straightened it back out. But well, that's what I'm saying. So here it is, the 4th box, and like I said, everything went together really fast. You know, it's just these simple little projects like this, and this is what I love about doing the work here in my shop. And for the most part, I never do the same thing twice. So, I mean, these are planter boxes. I'll never do planter boxes like this probably ever again. I do a lot of gates. A lot of gates come through here, but they're all different in their own way, and that's what makes it fun. You know, if I did the same thing every day, I'd lose my mind. I'd be bored. But you know, having something different to build and testing your skills and testing your mind on different things is a challenge to me, and I just love it. And something like this, or a gate or a frame or a trellis or anything that comes into the shop, it's usually just a one-off thing, and you know, that's what I like about it. One thing, look at those mag squares. I got them set up on end on the small part of the magnet. There's reasons for that. If you put it down on the flat side, the magnet is so strong it's hard to pull them off the table. So I stick them up on the small part like that. They're just easier to take off. You know, one thing I got to share with you. I learned about angle grinding metal like this. I was watching a weld.com when Bob Moffett was on there, and this was a few years ago, and he was talking about people who angle grind, and they grind with the sparks flying up in the air, and he was saying how bad that is, and that's not the good way to do it, and you know, you're not good if you do that, and all your sparks and all your grinding should be in the downward position. Well, that's stuck in my head, and I got to tell you, I really think he was referring to me when he was talking about there's people out there that do that, because I did that for the longest time. Everything was going up in the air, and I watched one of his videos, and he was talking about that, and I could have swore he was talking about me, but you never know. All right, well, there it is. That's all done. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this short little video and learning a little something about it. Thanks for watching. Check out my website at JIMBO'SGarage.com. We'll see you guys on the next video.
See you next time on Jimbo's Garage.